Welcome to my TED Talk. Today we're going to talk about Dignitas, which is the mob that is going to be looking after me. I'll call it that. Dignitas is legit. They are in Switzerland, in Zurich. Apparently it's not a very pretty area of Zurich, but, you know. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a tourist, you'll have to just time yourself a bit better, I think. There is also a branch in Germany, which I didn't go to because I just didn't think of it. When you join Dignitas, which you will do by either going through email or in my case, you'll phone them up. You'll have to send them some money and then you will be on their books. I think it's around about $1,000, something like that, just to be on the books. And then you can stay on the books as long as you like. No issue. You just become a member. I think you pay $200 every year to stay a member. And that's for people who really want to plan ahead long term. Dignitas will then ask you, once you've been accepted, for your doctor's diagnosis, which of course in my case about me being motor, that was an absolute shoo-in. And then they will ask you for 1,000 words on proving that you're sane, which, well, okay, look, don't say mean things about me. I just, wrote down, what was wrong with me, and I said, look, I want a really good death, and I had to give them 1,000 words on that one. And they also want another 1,000 words on your life and what you've done. So that was pretty easy. A couple of pages on that. Typed it up neatly because the right hand still works. Yeah, good right hand. And sent that off, and they're perfectly happy with that. I think they're just looking for people who are they really want you to be of sound mind. And I don't know about Alzheimer's in that case. Now, what I did get from them eventually was a list of reasons why Dignitas should take you on. And when I dig down to it, it's very interesting because the reasons they like to collect what could be wrong with you, and it looks like if you've got one of these, you're in. So they wanted to know that you could be capable of the decision to die. And that's the first thing they ask you. And they wanted to know if you had a hopeless illness, unsupportable pain, unreasonable disability, therapy-resistant pains, able to swallow 100 mils, because that's how they're going to, give you. Disabilities, need of care, resident in a home for aged or ill people, notice just aged or ill. Hospitalised, artificial food needed, permanent infusion, that's the catheter, artificial respiration needed, wheelchair, depression, tired of life. Are you being influenced by others? Do you want your relatives present at your last hours? Does your doctor know? I hope so. Can you sign? If you can't, that's okay. Are you blind? That's okay, they'll help you with that too. And then how tall and how fat you are. And I've put on a couple of kilos through no exercise, but I don't think that's going to worry them. Then they want to know all your family stuff, the name of your father, your mother, who's coming with you, all their names, addresses and contact numbers. That took a couple of weeks to get them all done, I can tell you, because we're coming from all over, Victoria, England. My relatives are everywhere. They also want to know eventually who's going to receive the death certificate. I made that my daughter because she's, local. And when we really get down to the nitty-gritty, talking about what's going to happen to your remains. Cremation's the cheapest, and they will mail it back to you. I strongly suspect that it's not a good idea to take a biohazard material on a plane, so they will mail it back to you. The death certificate will come out in about a week, apparently. It's quite quick. Now, of course, the fun stuff about Dignitas, if fun is the right word I'm going to use today, is getting all the documents. Now, that has been, you don't want to know. Marriage certificate, but it has to be reissued within 6 months of your procedure because they want you to be, absolutely nailed down who you are. So I had to get that reissued. My birth certificate had to be reissued with, given under my hand the 6th day of August 2025. Now, my termination date is September, so I had to sort of backdate 6 months from September. So it all had to be from February or something. I'm not thinking too hard tonight, obviously. There's also a little thing called, I've lost the word. But anyway, you have to go into the passport office for this. The divorce certificate needs this one because it doesn't update by a current date of issue. It only goes back to when it was issued, which was, like 5 years ago. So I have to go to the passport people in Adelaide and get it stamped with a proper seal, which is going to cost me $105, and then take it back and send it by registered mail. Well, I'm having it to myself by registered mail anyway, but then it has to go off to Sweden. Damn it, Switzerland. Now, the good thing about Dignitas is you can scan everything, but what they want you to do is bring the documents with you, because if you don't bring these documents with you, original or resubmitted documents, you're not going to get no death certificate. And they probably won't kill you off either. So you've got to take this great big pile of stuff. Obviously passport. So I had to do passport, reissued birth certificate, stat dec, because to prove that was still me, because when you change your name, you don't have a change of name form in Australia, so you have to do a stat dec saying you are who you are and who you were and who you are no longer. Marriage certificate, yeah, I had one of those. Divorce order. Now, the word is apostille. Apostille. So that's when you go in and get it stamped. That's when it costs you money. And a death certificate of your spouse if he has preceded you or she has preceded you. And that just takes forever. I mean, the government will take 2 weeks to do the reissued birth certificate. And, of course, in the meantime, you've done your plane bookings because, get your plane done early. And then you've worked out your hotel. Now, Dignitas will tell you which hotel is the nearest one and which one's set up for wheelchair access. The one I'm getting is. And you're just going to be throwing money in all directions. There's just no other way. You've got to get car hire. You've got to get the hotel. You've got to work out who's staying and how long. And you've got to, of course, put your MasterCard details, Visa card details in for that. And you're just churning money out continually. I think it's cost me, Dignitas itself has cost me 30,000 Australian. The hotel's going to cost pretty much the same. And because I'm taking my friends in business class, that's $20,000 per person. So if you want to stay rich, but I mean, they're my friends and it'll be our big trip. Now, here's the really fun thing about Dignitas. They're going to give you a booking and they are going to tell you what day they want you in. And the day they want you in, it's a 5 o'clock appointment. I'm pretty sure that's the same with everyone. Because the doctors are sort of on this side of the law, but it's, it's weird. In fact, all your stuff will be done through a post office box so that they can't raid it. Apparently the English should be giving them a hard time. So the doctor will come and see you on the Friday the 5 o'clock that you get there. And our plane gets in at 2:30, so it's pretty well. Dump your stuff at the hotel and flip down. I think it's only about 10 k's away, so it's not that bad. Flip down, doctor checks you out, probably just to checks all your ID, of course, to make sure you are who you are. And then you come back the next day at 10 o'clock, and here's where the fun starts. They give you a sedative so that you do not twitch. I think I went through this in my other little video too. Give you a sedative so you don't twitch, and then they give you, in my case, I have to swallow some phenobarb. There is the name of it, And then hopefully in about 15 minutes I will fade away. And apparently sometimes you don't fade away in 15 minutes, especially if you haven't been drinking much. And that, of course, as I've said before, motor neuron disease people and people on wheelchairs, we have an aversion towards toilets because sometimes getting off them is hard. And often we don't drink very much in a day. So we have to make sure that we drink, and so you have to make sure you can get off the toilet, for which I have brought myself some knee support bandages today, and we've got an extra toilet thing to fit on. I'm sorry, this is very, but when we get to this stage, life is not easy anymore. We don't just do things like that. We have to plan, and I'm afraid the toilet's the first thing that you have to come to terms with, so sorry about that. Anyway, and I digress as usual. Basically, I will be terminated within 15 minutes at the best case. I have also done my advanced care thing that I did in Australia, which of course you will have to do if you're making a will, which you jolly well should be fairly soon, does carry Australian directive, which is basically do not revive me if I am on the point of death. Please don't do that to me. But look after me if I'm not on the point of death, because I really want to get, as I said in mine clearly, I'm aiming to get to Switzerland while I've still got good breathing and, still got good support and control, because it's a long flight. And I've derailed my train of thought yet again. Anyway, sometimes it can take a long time. So when you get to Switzerland, your advanced care directive is now under the control of the Swiss health minister, and they will not disturb you in your death. And apparently some people, it takes them a long, long time to die. And that's when you could be disturbed, except that the government will look after you and refuse entry to people who will come for whatever reason and try and stop you and revive you. And of course, what happens to the remains? Well, as I've said before, it's an ash thing. It will be mailed out to Australia. I've got a couple of urns left over from my parents, and my kids will get one each and half each. It's quite common to send ashes around the world by mail. I've done it with my parents and my sister in England. So, you know, you just sort of tidy up. And just have a lot of money. And, tourism. I meant to say that. Now, look, I thought that you could rock up to Dignitas, get yourself assessed, and then nick off for a few days and tour Switzerland. And I was looking forward to that. But no, it's a next day issue because I think the doctors are a bit busy. So what you want to do, get your act together, get your flights booked in, come in a week before your appointment. Dignitas will tell you what time you're coming in, and that's when you do your tours and all. If you still feel like it, speaking for myself, I'm kind of over touring and, you know, looking at new things. I'm kind of wrapping up here. And also it's the toilets and the access. And, you know, and a lot of us, you know, we go out and we don't drink anything all day. And some people have got to the stage they don't eat anything all day. So it's kind of, you know, you look at the scenery, okay, really cool scenery, but, you know, where's the loo? And I'm just over that stuff. On the other hand, if you're healthier, like if you've only got, well, I don't know how the status of Alzheimer's is actually, because you've got to be of sound mind. That could be tricky. But if you've got something that you can kind of hang off with for a while, and you're not in too bad condition, then you could easily go and do a week of touring. But as Dignitas says, most people don't, because they're at the stage they're kind of over it. And I think I've covered most of it. I've covered more than Dignitas will tell you, because I didn't know about that 1,000-word thing. I got that from reading about Terry Pratchett. I gave them 1,000 words and they were happy. But if you go down the road, they'll tell you what you need. And just remember, it takes at least 2 weeks to get your documents back from government. So start your document process quickly and early. Ask them what you need to send. They left that a bit late to me, but lots of emails late at night and, you know, checking things out. And they're very precise. Just answer the questions with one word. They don't want a whole bunch of stuff proving that you've booked in somewhere. They say, you don't need to send that to us. Why did you send it to her? Sorry, I just cleaning out my files. But they are lovely people, and they've thanked me for being, you know, cooperative, which is rather unusual. So I shall leave you there. Of course, if you have questions, well, yeah, I suppose I'll put this on the thing so you can ask me before the other stuff goes. So I won't make this one private, I'll make this one public. So there you go, guys. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We're doing a lot of them. See you later.